So choose what's good for your soul, not for your ego. The more we become like culture, the less we have to offer it. If you're holding on to a grudge, God cannot hand you happiness. Welcome to PSA. If you're new around here, my name is Felix, and if you're back, I want to thank you for the continued support. I'm so excited. Today is week 3 of our core value series, and I want you to know that I say ours, but that includes you. Although I developed them over the years and attribute the success of our business to them, it was actually the 9 years of serving people through our space that brought to my attention how these values can serve everyone. So today we're speaking about core value number 3, always leave with more. Now the concept is when you come into contact with someone or someone comes into contact with your business or community, do they leave with more? More full than empty, more lit than dim, with more to consider than to complain about. Last week we shared about how we were better together, and we highlighted how in community we can serve people greatly. And the week before we talked about leading with love first and how everything and everyone is impacted in a positive manner when love sets the tone first. These two choices bring value to those who are fortunate enough to be a part of them and set the stage for being able to always leave with more. There's a few verses in the book of Matthew that I want to use to support this conversation because I feel that they are excuse proof. They're referred to as the Sermon on the Mount or the Beatitudes. So in Matthew 5, it starts in verse 2 saying, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are those who thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called the children of God. Blessed are those who are persecuted because of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when people insult you, persecute you, and falsely say all kinds of evil against you because of me. Rejoice and be glad, because great is your reward in heaven. For in the same way they persecuted the prophets who were before you." You see, if your spirit is vibing at a low frequency, cheer up, because the kingdom of heaven is yours. If you're mourning, his spirit will comfort you. The meek are not weak, they are disciplined, they shall inherit the earth. If you're persecuted because of you trying to be righteous, you're blessed, because yours is the kingdom of heaven. If you're hungry and thirsty for righteousness, you can be full of his teachings and his spirit that he has left for you. If you're merciful, indefinitely mercy will find you. You may say, karma comes around. If your heart is a pure heart, you will see God. But if I dare be bold enough to interject in this verse, more importantly, God will see your heart. It says, blessed are the peacemakers, not the industrial war complex, not the global self-appointed police, not the wealthiest. It says the peacemakers, because they will be called the children of God. If you or me are persecuted because we push for righteousness, ours is the kingdom of heaven. If people come at us or speak ill or block your progress or your blessings, lie on you, do any kind of evil because you're sharing the gospel, it says rejoice and be glad, because our reward is in heaven. We have the ability to always leave with more when we arrive with good intentions. Love, integrity, sincerity, kindness, truthfulness. Beware of others' deception by omission, because that is still lying. Don't let someone falling short of looking like Jesus stop you from seeing him. Whether it's your faith or anything you do, you either quit or you keep going, but both are going to hurt because it takes effort. Let that sit for a second. You know, you come into this world with nothing and you leave with nothing if you don't create relationships and invest in other people's spirits. There's that saying, there's no U-Haul behind a hearse. But the reason we mourn when someone leaves is because of the deposit that their spirit made in our lives. The great question to ask ourselves is, what is our spirit doing after we leave? Now, it doesn't need to be so grim and extreme as when we die, but what does our spirit do when we leave the room or before we enter it? Are people looking forward to it or dreading it? Are people drained or are they lifted? Well, the fact is that we spend our lives curating our spirit and how others experience it. So choose what's good for your soul, not for your ego. Do not pursue pleasure over virtue or follow feelings over facts. We are plagued nowadays with these algorithms on social media, and they're just really an echo chamber. Do not insulate yourself with a human version of that is only letting you hear and see what you want. You're not getting any more choices to consider. You're actually getting less choices, and it's taking your valuable time to grow. People who want to see you win will help you win, even if that means challenging you. Jesus didn't come to be cool, so do you ever ask yourself, why does the church keep trying to be? Why is society so obsessed with it? The more we become like culture, the less we have to offer it. What we see on the cross is that Jesus absorbs the sins of the world and he releases the good spirit of God. Do we receive negativity and return positivity? Do we get hurt and return healing? Are we upset and think first about revenge, or to try and reset our joy instead? Are we just adding insult to injury, and when we look at the crucifixion, what we see is an execution? An execution extinguishes a life force, but a sacrifice gives life to others. We should be sacrificing our lives to lift other people's spirits up. The more you spread out your search for community, the thinner what you have to offer anyone is. So lead with love, lead with trust, lead with availability and transparency. Don't delay a possible sincere connection because someone else has fallen short on you. After the Sermon on the Mount, more people stayed behind than followed Jesus. That's where we get to fill in the gap in helping others see the way. If you're holding on to a grudge, God cannot hand you happiness. Some may be offended because your light reveals their insecurities, but there's a difference between doing too much and having a lot to give. The scriptures clearly say that different gifting was given to each person. You know you're outside your gifting, I believe, if you feel insecure because you're moving outside of God's purpose in your life. When you are in your gifting, you move bold and you're energized, and so are others. The gospel is the good news of what has been done to save you, not what you have to do to save yourself. So that is why we're called to share it. This is why only one person was documented in human history as coming to us to give all of himself. And when Jesus left, he left us with all these teachings and his spirit behind to accompany us and ensure that we will always leave with more. Thank you guys for joining us again. I hope this message inspires you to keep pouring into others regardless of what the return looks like. Please make sure you come back for the end of our core value series, where we will be talking about methods change, but the mission remains. So until next week, let's love more, and I'll see you at the next PSA. Love first, better together, always leave with more. Methods change, mission remains next week. Make sure you guys come back to check that out. Check out some of these videos and share them with the first person that comes to mind. That's why we do this. I look forward to hearing from you guys. Take care.